Oh.
Just had to make sure that people understood what show they were watching because they might be confused.
Yeah.
And we are live. Welcome to the Crafty Boys, where we drink beer, talk about stuff. It's pretty much the description of the show that I think everyone has come to expect.
Yeah.
How are we
Everyone
doing?
meaning the three of us.
Something
Pretty
like
much.
Yeah.
So, hey, Dave's not here tonight, everyone, because Dave is not feeling well, so he is staying home. Staying home. He is already home, but that's okay. He doesn't go anywhere. Um, and I haven't had a COVID test recently, so how about you guys?
I actually had one done 2 days ago.
Oh, really? How did it go?
Came back negative.
Oh,
I
well,
had okay. So here's the thing. So my kid brought home a cold from school. He caught it from one of his friends at school,
Right.
and of course passed it along to me. Head cold. Like all of my symptoms were from here up, right?
Right.
But the wife is like, let's play it safe. Just go get a test. Just go do it. So I was like,
Which makes
okay,
sense, yeah.
fine. So I did do it and everything, and they said I made the right decision to do that, and it came back negative. I only had to. It was less than 24 hours turnaround time, and I was staying home anyway because I felt like crap anyway. But I'm all better
So
now.
basically, you how do you actually get a COVID test in this country? I have no idea.
Well, it's different depending on your health authority. So here I'm on Vancouver Island, so this is the Vancouver Island Health Authority. There's a number that you phone, and you leave it detects what number you're calling from, and then they'll phone you back. So they phoned me back within like 15 minutes. They got me in for an appointment within 2 hours. I did the gargle test. I didn't have to get the brain swab.
The
So there's two different kinds of
gargle
tests.
test.
Yeah. So there's two different kinds. So there's
Okay.
one where they give you it's like a salt water kind of saline thing. And
Right.
you gargle for 5 seconds, swish for 5 seconds, and then repeat that process again, and then again a third time. And then you spit it out into this tube, and they take it and they analyze it or whatever. There's some caveats with that. You can't have eaten anything or brushed your teeth or anything within like an hour of having that done. And if you have done those things, then they got to do the brain swab.
That sounds like
Okay.
valuable intelligence.
Yeah.
Now, what about the cost of doing those? I mean, do they just do them, or are they like, is there a fee associated with getting
There's no
one? Or
fee.
what?
No, there's
Okay.
no fee.
I was
Canada. This is Canada.
Well, no, I know. I mean, well, because people, of course, are have been they've traveled internationally and stuff like that. So I gather they had to get one before they left in order to enter whatever country they're going to. Some friends of mine just went to Europe. They went to Italy.
I have a feeling for something like that they would have to pay. But
yeah, exactly.
If it's just,
So I was just curious about the regular everyday because we used to have down the road. I'm not sure when it left, but they used to. There was like a drive-through testing center. You could just go there and they brain swabbed you, from the comfort of your own car.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I to be honest, I was just curious. I've never had a need to go get one. I've never really. I mean, I don't really go anywhere, but
This was my first. This was my first.
Oh, was your first? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was an interesting experience. So, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's a good idea considering the industry in which you work. And don't you have relatives that are immunocompromised, or your in-laws are, or something? I don't know. Your wife told me about your in-laws potentially being vulnerable. Like months and months ago. But...
my wife's grandmother is like 96.
Ah, well, there you go then. Yeah, so smart. You made her happy. All right, way to go, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling like a member of the club right now because yesterday I got angry at my hair, It was too long and lush, so I cut it all
Yes.
off.
Oh,
That's what happened to me too. I got angry at my hair.
That's right.
Like
you just-
25
you're
years
sticking
ago.
it all-
25
Oh,
years ago, I got
God.
angry at my hair and it never came back. Hey, are we going to be drinking beer or what?
I don't know. Well, I was about to ask
Yeah.
Locke. Hey, Locke, you got angry at your hair recently as well. So what are you drinking tonight to make it all up for it?
Well, so what I'm drinking tonight is from Godspeed Brewery. They're in Toronto, Canada. And this is their Mave Liiiiiiive 12 degree, whatever that means exactly. Mave Liiiiiiive, my understanding is that that's Czech for dark lager. Liiiiiiive actually used to be a town in Czechoslovakia that was razed to the ground after the Allies killed Heinrich, or what's his name?
Heinrich Himmler?
No.
Smith?
Reinhard
Connor?
Obadiah Smith?
Reinhard Heydrich, I think is his name. He was
Okay.
he was an SS guy who went around,
That was going to be my third guess.
executing whole villages at a time.
Well, that's fucking terrible. But what does this have to do with the beer?
This is a Czech style premium dark lager, is what they describe it as underneath. There are some odd. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. There are some odd hieroglyphics off to the side there. I don't know what those mean. And the tin, as you can see, hints at a darkish color. It's got what looks to be sort of like a stylized Czech flag. And most importantly, you'll notice that again we have label stuck to silver 355 tin, letting me know that this is mobile canning line stuff, and so properly craft brewish.
Right.
And so let's find out what it's like, because I haven't tried it yet. Oh, when it says it's a dark lager, they mean dark lager. I've seen porters lighter in color than that.
Hard to tell on your camera, but yeah, it looks pretty dark. And it got a very nice head.
Can you
Hang on.
only
Okay.
barely?
And that's with a light like right up against it. Oh my god, man.
Wow.
That is shocking.
This is a dark lager. So let's find out what it's like.
That sounds like a good noise.
I'm liking this a lot. It's dry. Little bit of a coffee flavor, a little bit chocolatey.
Really?
A little bit of a coppery sort of mouthfeel.
It's made with the
I like-
blood of.
I like this.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
High praise.
Excellent.
The man from Ontario has said he likes it.
He likes it. He likes it.
Excellent. All right. Now, you and I, Alan, have the same beer this evening.
Yes, we do.
It is from a brewery out here in British Columbia called Steel and Oak. And it looks like this. It smells very good, apparently, according to one review I've read. It's the Beechwood Smoked Honey Doppelbock. And it has like a cool label. Very simple, very classic. And of course, I need more darn light to actually read this darn thing.
7.9%.
Oh, we're gonna die. All right, so according to the bottle, this beer has water in it, barley, hops, honey, and yeast, which is an obvious thing, but they have a summary of it, and they normally do. Utilizing a local BC honey and beechwood smoked malt, our double bock is a study in balance, gentle sweetness, and move off there. And malt notes are complemented by the echo of distant campfires to create a well-rounded, pleasing brew that lingers long after your final sip. So, that is a very dramatic thing. I need to.
The echo
course,
of distant campfires.
I know. The echo of distant campfires.
So does that mean that they
for this
just
beer,
go
I'm breaking
around
out
and take
the Bally penis opener?
Do they just go around and collect like old like wood from like old campfires from people who have departed and like throw it into the brew? I'm kidding, of course, but
Julian is drinking Tuborg Green.
oh,
Nice.
This smells initially like a campfire. I gotta say, it's like they grabbed the ashes from a campfire and have jammed them into the bottle. So hey, good on them.
I've smelled
Peanut
smokier
Gallery.
beers, but it's definitely there.
Here comes the peanut gallery, who's very pleased with themselves. Okay, here you are.
So
There you go.
immediately, so the scent is very you can smell the smokiness of it, but as far as flavor goes, the first thing that comes to me is the honey and not the smokiness flavor. And I do like that because I've had some smoked beers that are really overpowering. Like,
What?
the hell is that noise,
I
Locke?
have no idea.
What the hell happened there?
I have no idea.
Like somebody's eating their microphone. Maybe it's me.
It could very well be you. So basically,
maybe- Yeah, maybe it's haunted.
I haven't
but
actually
anyway.
tasted it yet, so here we go.
Yeah, so go ahead and taste it. Tell me what you taste first.
Honey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have no head whatsoever on mine. Like it didn't.
No,
really
nor
form.
do I. Even when I was pouring it, I was a little bit disappointed by that. I do like to see a nice, thick, creamy head.
There's very little carbonation in this beer.
Yeah. I would say for the style, it's undercarbonated, but whatever.
But it
Um,
is, yeah.
Yeah, but I really like the flavor profile on it. Like I say, I've had some really smoky beers that were very overpowering, and I'm glad that this isn't it. I was a little bit worried. But otherwise, I mean, I like it. I wish I had a little bit more carbonation, a bit more of a head. But other than that, it's good.
The peanut gallery here online says that I predict that it's a one can and done beer.
Does he mean as Tuborg?
No, he means our beer.
Yes, I would probably
I
never
would
buy
agree.
this again.
It's okay.
I'm glad I'm
It's,
trying it. I won't buy it again.
I'm really getting the smoke finish now.
Yeah. I'm getting the echo of the distant campfires.
Yeah, exactly. If I was heavily intoxicated and fell into each one of them,
Which I'm sure
after
you've
the
done.
round, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So, I had a question for a conversation starter.
Okay.
I've totally forgot what it is, so ignore me entirely. Start a convo.
You got to show Julian's comment here.
What did he say?
Flat, dark, and smoky, just like my first girlfriend. Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
That's what this.
He's had a lot of first girlfriends. This guy. I mean, how many can he really have in a lifetime? I guess quite a few. So how about those ministers, huh?
Sorry, what?
Cabinet
what?
shuffle? No, you haven't followed this at all? Wow.
No, I've been living.
I don't really care.
What? Sorry, what just happened?
Well, Trudeau just has the new cabinet arranged, and they've all been sworn in yesterday, or on Tuesday, or I guess that was yesterday.
Who changed office?
Pretty much all of them, and we're gonna have our own Gestapo, and they're gonna
Sorry,
start
what?
rounding us up tomorrow.
Is Christopher Freeland no longer doing the same job?
Krista Freeland is now the. Oh lordy, 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 lordy. Something similar. Hey Julian, save me on this one, man, because I know that you're really up on the things there, but so she is currently going to be the still running as the Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. So she's doubling up on her duties there. So she's going to save us all from financial ruin, and I think she could probably pull it off. She's an incredibly smart lady, so I hope so. And if she could make beer cheaper, that'd be great. Just if you can get on that.
Yeah. So here are the problems with that. First of all, it's not with power to do that because she's federal government.
Are you saying that the feds can't save us all? Come on.
What I'm saying is that beer, I'm pretty certain, most of the time, unless we're trying to pass, perhaps even I'd have to. God, I should have studied harder. But I'm pretty sure that beer is most likely a matter of civil rights and property within the province. So, or a local matter. So. Beer, or at least it should be a local matter, shouldn't it? There is a case where they tried to lay down a federal mandate for what the particular standards were for national Canadian beer, and in that case they lost. So that's not a thing. Thank God, because that would have been stupid.
I would agree.
Indeed. Beer is provincial, yes. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
Very true.
There was something I was going to talk about. So there was another trailer for Ghostbusters that came out.
Oh, the one where we see Egon running through the woods,
yes,
or whatever.
Yeah. So apparently they are using old behind the scenes footage of Egon from the first movie is going to be recycled and used in this next movie.
Ooh, trippy.
Really?
Yeah.
It can be done. We've seen it in The Force Awakens or the second, whatever that film is called. So I say do it because they were unable to get a third film done for so long, and then sadly Harold Ramis passed away.
I'll let them know that you give your approval.
I approve it, and
because that's what they said.
If I didn't
they
approve,
said
the movie wouldn't hit theaters. So
they said
that's kind of...
it's like we have this plan, we're going to do this, but we don't know if the Crafty boys are going to approve or not. So we're just waiting on that.
Well, exactly. I mean, our power and influence knows no bounds. Our Crafty Boys podcast is something that, really directs the future of humanity. I mean, when we say no, then, stuff stops, grinds to a halt, If we say yes, then everyone is happy and no one ever feels as though they're left behind. So I just want to say that here to the power of the Crafty Boys.
Right.
Indeed. Yep. More.
So I just remembered what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
The Christmas season is closing in. and we need to start thinking about what we're going to do to punish our livers for 24 straight days.
Yeah.
And you have pointed out that the Wonderful Time for a Beer, which is what was out last year, is that right?
Yeah, so that was Parallel 49.
So it's pretty much the same thing. Now, of course, we don't know if the beer contained within said box is the same. But that's kind of the only show in that I can find.
Well, yeah, for right now. I mean, keep in mind, it's not even Halloween yet, right?
No, this is true, but they're already stocking it, which leads me to believe potentially that those are boxes from last year.
Well, and that is a distinct possibility. Let's be clear. Last year's Parallel 49, It's a Wonderful Time for a Beer was a disappointment. When you get what is basically an advent calendar, and they don't call it an advent calendar, but that's basically what it is. You expect wintry kinds of beers, stouts, porters, box, that kind of thing, or summery beers with a winter twist on it. Central City, when Central City used to do them, and it was better when they did it in concert with Parallel 49, was that the Central City really put like a wintry twist on things. Remember, Shane, they did that old-fashioned beer. It was a beer that was based on the old-fashioned.
Really liked that. Oh my god,
that was amazing. Yeah. An amazing beer, and they did tons of beers that were like that. Last year was just like pale ales with some sort of like.
Okay, but how much of that was lockdown? How much of that was because they couldn't meet to exchange ideas and hang out and fool around and come up with creative ideas and do crazy brewing?
So last year's definitely had the feeling that it was just whatever was left over, throw it in, get rid of it. And I don't know if this year's would be the same thing. Now, I will say this. Phillips usually puts out a 12 can pack called the Space Case. But it usually gets announced like sometime like early to mid-November. So I don't think, from what I understand, the Phillips one last year beat the Parallel 49 one in every single way imaginable. I wouldn't mind giving that one a try if that's what they're doing this year.
Here's Julian's call.
Yes, and I agree with Julian. Certainly last year, that was the way it was. Now, in previous years, particularly when Parallel 49 did this in concert with Central City, it felt like the beers actually had some thought put into them. And last year's, it felt like there was no thought put into them at all.
Right.
I was big time disappointed last year.
Locke, are you going to do an advent calendar this year?
Well,
are there any Ontario breweries doing this kind of thing? I assume so.
I've never done one in the past, although I've participated, but I've never done my own. I don't know if there's an Ontario brewery doing advent calendars. A little housekeeping first. Julian asked, there's a case? Yes, the case is Labatt Breweries versus Attorney General of Canada in 1979. This went to the Supreme Court of Canada. It failed. Federal Canada does not have the power to limit the nature of a commonly held named type of thing like beer or even light beer. That's just a common name, and so there are no official standards for that. But there was a dissent in that case. Laskin apparently thought that the federal parliament should be able to fix standards that are common to all manufacturers of foods, including beer, drugs, cosmetics, therapeutic devices, at least to equalize competitive advantages in the carrying on of businesses concerned with these products. What kind of fucking insane communism is that, I might well ask? The federal government, he's suggesting, should have the power to eliminate competition over how you brew beer or make food, or right? Like, does this not sound a little nuts? Sounded nuts to me when I first read it, but yeah. So, in case Julian, you were wondering, yes, there's a case. It's Labatt Breweries versus the Attorney General of Canada in 1979. Now, back to Advent calendars. So, having just gone through a whole lot of Canadian constitutional law, my first concern about Advent calendars is whether or not they're like Lord's Day legislation, whereby it implies a Christian denominational element to the activity, which I suspect. What I've never seen in any of this discourse, either from the United States or from Canada, or for that matter from Australia, New Zealand, or Great Britain, is somebody taking to task the idea that all of these things are religious. Perhaps what they are, properly construed, is cultural. Because if you stop and think about it, most Christians, never mind other faiths, most Christians don't actually give a flying fuck about any Christian dogma, don't believe in anything besides, evolution and science. They do it because it's traditional, and it's a colorful way of expressing the seasons and all of that. And so, do I think that Advent calendars revolve around some sort of theological issue? Actually, I think they're a colorful way to drink beer, or serve children candies, or other,
Lego
fiendish, diabolical plots to undermine the moral scrutiny of Canadians. For that matter, if you go to other faiths and you look at their practices, to what degree are all of these things ultimately religious, and to what degree is it exactly the same thing, which is to say that it's cultural? It's just a tradition that's colorful, and it's sort of like folk dancing. You know what I mean? So I don't know that I've got any particular issue one way or another with Advent calendars. I've never gone and bought one, but then, normally I'm more inclined to find and pick and choose the specialty brews of my particular inclination on my own. It's sort of like subscribing to one of those services that sends you packages with random goods. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like a gift box or something.
So I think the draw for me, and let's be clear, the breweries, none of them have ever called these things Advent calendars. They actually specifically leave that term out of it. They don't make reference to Christmas or anything denominational. It's a winter pack with 24 beers. They're randomly placed within the packets. Or like the box will have like little punch outs with each one with a different number, and the first one to go is 1 and then 2. The draw for me was never knowing what was going to be the beer that day. It was going to be a complete surprise. You're putting your faith entirely into the brewery.
So it's sort of like being Inspector Clouseau and hiring Cato to jump out of a cupboard randomly and serve you a beverage that you weren't expecting.
I guess. Yes. Yes, I guess so. And sometimes you're like pleasantly surprised. And, if you're surprised enough, you can deal with the duds that are in it, and every pack had duds. Let's be clear. But
Oh, no,
there's
exactly.
sometimes, like maybe say like maybe a little bit more than half the case was certainly not duds, and some of them were like some of the best beers that you had that year, and this is the only way you can have them, right? But I'm just saying,
true.
last year sucked. Like, I would say all but one was a dud.
That's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it was. It was more so. I mean, ultimately, I think
It's like finding your stockings stuffed with stockings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the duds was Mr. Needles, and I'm glad they put in Mr. Needles because Mr. Needles is a staple. Even though I hate it, I will stomach it every single time.
Is it taste like a cleaning product? Is that its problem?
It tastes like, okay, imagine going into the forest and picking up like pine needles and dirt and everything and shoving it in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Now, I've had some spruce tip beers that are really good. Mr. Needles is not. It's disgusting. And
they definitely have a huge it's like, I always describe it every single time we've had it. It's like they mulch the trees into the beer, like the entire thing. They pull it out of the ground, they roots and all, and
it tastes
just
like sap.
mulch it up.
Yeah,
exactly that. But to be honest, if we can find another solution for our beer this year, then I will miss it, but not that much. So
yeah,
I'm hoping we find something unique.
I
still long for the old fashioned. I really do. To this day, I still think of it. Not that it was an advent calendar beer, but if it was,
actually, just in general description, it's like a fucking genius idea. Why not make a beer that tastes like a famous cocktail? Cool.
Exactly.
It was amazing, actually. It was probably the highlight of that particular year. And of course, Central City would always put in one of the beers would be Thor's Hammer, their barley wine, which is amazing. And then they would put in some other things too. Like I'm trying to think, like they would have like maybe a porter with that like orange flavor and chocolate. So it's like one of those, one of those chocolate orange things that you get.
I don't know why it's seasonal and festive, but it is.
Yeah. And there was a beer that had a hint of that. It didn't taste like that, but and there were some other ones too that are just so creative and inventive. And you can't have these beers, like they don't sell them separately. This is the only way to try them. But last year's it was just like run of the mill beer after run of the mill beer, and it was just my God. It's December. I want to have something wintry. I don't want to have a pale ale that I was be expecting to drink on a patio in July.
Ooh! I know. It's hazy and it tastes like fruit juice.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then this is what I noticed in the pack last year. I actually take a tally of the beer styles in them. And I expect to see so many. It's not like I don't expect there to be pale ales and IPAs and that kind of thing. I do, but I mean, I expect it to sort of like be kind of like evenly distributed. So like, there's so many pale ales, so many IPAs, so many pilsners, so many stouts, and so many porters. Blah blah blah. But last year's there was not a single stout, not a single porter. It was all pale ales and pilsners. So what I think they did is they made like 2 big batches of pale ale, Pilsner. And then what they did is they kind of separated those out and added adjuncts to each one to make them slightly different from each other and package them all up differently.
Which, under, obviously difficult conditions is maybe what you would do, isn't it?
Well, the thing is this year's going to be any different then? Because, I mean, it's still difficult. We're still in the same situation that we were in last year.
I don't know if that's quite true. The extent to which vaccination has taken hold and the extent to which, nobody's in full lockdown anymore, probably anywhere right now. No? Is anyone?
No, what? I mean, to be honest, we've never been in lockdown here in BC.
Well, there you go. Okay. Well, okay, that's a good point, because so if not full lockdown, then what is their excuse? Shit, I don't know. I'm running out of.
I think they just kind of like said screw it and let's just put in whatever. These things are expensive too. I mean, it's like for a pack of 24 beers after taxes, you're spending like $75-$80.
I gotta say, if there's a single industry that I have serious intellectual doubts about whether they were significantly harmed by the pandemic, it would be the alcohol business. What do you do when you're fucking stuck hanging out with nothing to do at home? Oh, I know. I'll call Dial a Bottle.
Exactly. I've probably drunk more in the last 2 years than I have in probably the previous 5. I'm going to guess.
I would agree with, yeah.
I'm going to guess. And to Julian's comment, nothing like a good porter, eh, Alan? Yeah, totally. I love porters, especially in the winter.
I kind of want to.
I am tempted to let you know that I have a plan for next week, but no, I'm going to let it sit.
You have a plan?
I have a plan.
There's a plan?
There's a plan. There is also something on the horizon that is making me sort of wonder what is going to happen this coming month and a half, which is to say that I might be headed out west.
Oh.
Be the first time in a little while, and the simple fact of the matter is the airlines are running. I've had my jabs, and there's stuff that needs to happen out west, and so I may be in your neck of the woods before very too long here, but we're still waiting to see. So
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about the traveling thing too, just because I've got business people that I do work with back east and stuff.
Well,
like
do me a favor and don't travel at exactly the same time as I fucking head out.
No, I don't plan on traveling really anytime.
You guys can wave at each other as you're passing by in the plane.
Yeah.
Later, but yeah,
we'll converse. But I mean, this is the thing: is that there's definitely a sense of people wanting to get back to. Well, put it this way: in British Columbia, we have now got the. It's been announced now that the any restrictions are being lifted. Like theaters and things like that can now be 100% capacity, where before they were only at 50, and stuff like that. These kinds of things are changing, and it doesn't surprise me that all of the COVID support stuff, pandemic support stuff, is ending a couple weeks after this announcement last week, and the Canucks opener is very soon. Is it this week or is it next week? I can't remember. but anyway, basically, the suspicion is that there's been a lot of pressure with from professional sports to be like, come on, let us actually try and make some money, specifically the Canucks. So the Lower Mainland has all these restrictions being lifted now. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it is fascinating that all of this stuff is suddenly happening at the same time, and so the people can return to working at offices and things. I have to admit, the 22 minutes has been really having a few sketches that I thought were really funny about returning to work, and framing them all in like horror movie genres, being that it's Halloween. Like the lone female in the having wine at home by themselves and getting a phone call late at night and, hello, this is so and so from HR. We were just letting you know that we'll all be returning to the offices as of next week. And it's like, no, God, no! Like the whole Scream film kind of thing. So, do you think that's going to happen in Canada, where people just decide to quit their jobs because they don't want to return to the office?
I would say it's ongoing right now. So in Ontario. So one of the people I chat with is somebody in the food industry, and what she's been telling me is that basically the current climate is that it's impossible to find staff. Nobody wants to go back to work. They've had a taste of freedom, and it's sort of like, go back to work.
No, how do they afford that freedom without a job?
No, I'm not going back to work. Well, potentially some of them, benefited more than they needed to on the basis of COVID measures to make sure that everybody was okay. And so they managed to squirrel something away. Maybe some of them were secretly living with their parents and cut their expenses in half for all the way and just mooched off of other people, or like there's a lot of stuff, different scenarios that might have happened there. And so the problem is there's a lot of people right now running small businesses who are like, okay, finally we've got air to breathe. We need to push forward, but they can't find staff. What does that tell you? I'm not raising this as something that, well, because of these reasons, I think this. It's just that the people in the industry who need staff don't have staff, and so whatever the reason is, they don't have the staff. And that's sort of, it surprised me to hear that, because I would have thought there would be a lot of people who would be like, oh God, finally.
There was a news story this week. A restaurant in Vancouver advertised to hire a dishwasher with an annual salary of $50,000 a year.
Fuck.
I'm changing my base career.
Okay, so the reason why that's funny is I was telling my coworker about it, because we work in a type of thing where if we make a mistake, somebody dies, and we do not make $50,000 a year. So It's like, hey, do you want to quit your job and go wash dishes? It would be a lot less stress, and you get more money.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of what I see getting covered in the news right now is a lot of organizations that have servers for all kinds of different restaurants and food services in general. Hey, like we've heard this forever, that they're getting paid low because their tips are what make up the difference. And now we're seeing a lot of those sorts of deals dying on the vine when people are like, oh, well, come back to work. And the staff are like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not coming back to work for, $2.50 an hour on the chance that my tips will make up the rest.
Yeah, because who's using cash anymore? How many people do everything digitally right now?
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of fascinating that I mean, I didn't realize that there are. I mean, I don't think. I mean, all of these stories I'm hearing about are in the States. So I'm not actually. I don't think Canada would get away with that. But
No,
um,
you couldn't. The wait staff have to make at least minimum wage.
Well, yeah, they do.
They do.
I'm sure there's legislation in place now. I know from personal experience that in the 90s that wasn't true. In fact, even in the early 2000s, no, actually, we're talking late 2000s. There was a business on Wharf Street that was paying its staff exactly $0 on the basis that they'll just make it all up in tips.
Yeah, so I know the place that you're
hell?
They got
speaking
busted
of.
for that, by the way.
Yeah, they did get busted.
But but that was happening.
Now
That is
and
messed
then
up.
the laws did change because it used to be that they didn't have to pay servers minimum wage on the basis that they would get tips that would propel them over the minimum wage threshold. That's no longer the case. They have to be paid at least minimum wage. But still, I mean, minimum wage. I mean, you can't in this market. You can't live on minimum wage.
There's a dance to do. Hey, I'm making minimum wage.
Yeah.
Time to celebrate.
The best thing ever.
But then you get into the situation where you've got minimum wage has gone up by leaps and bounds, over the past few years, where it's like, I think it's like,
As have expenses.
well, exactly. It's close to like $15 an hour. Has my wage gone up by that same amount? Absolutely not.
It's not inflation. It's quantitative easing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just quantitative.
Quantitative easing. Yeah, I like that. Now I'm depressed. All I know is that of the staff that I've ever had, that they've always been, way over minimum wage. So, I feel good about that. But
That's good. Good for you.
Yeah, because I'm not a jerk. But if I
Yeah.
could get away with it, $1.50 an hour to start, and you have to rub my feet every day. Exactly. God, I'm really sad Dave's not here because I really wanted to know what soda he was going to have today.
Really?
But it's giving a different.
Maybe
flavor to the
maybe
show.
he couldn't find a soda. Maybe that's why he's not here. It's like, I can't go on the show if I don't have a soda.
I just can't do it. It's not going to do well. I'm just going to bring the show down.
Yeah.
One of these days, I am, just for shits and giggles, going to make up an entirely fictitious beverage, and I will enjoy it on the show, and I will tell you all about it. And I will never let on that it was bogus or that I made it up.
Are you sure you haven't done that already?
I think he's done that already.
Which reminds me, I actually have a client in Toronto who I was talking about beer with the other day, and they have offered to send Toronto-based beer out this way, including flying monkeys. So there you go. So if that actually happens, I'll be sending some on to you there. But who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
Have a drink, Shane? Yeah, okay, I can do that. I think am I out of beer? No, I've got a tiny dreg left here.
So
Hey, Peanut
I
Gallery,
want
you
to
want some?
change my review.
Okay.
So I said that this beer was good.
Now you think it's bad because you drank a bunch of it.
No, I finished it. I'm true to what I said. I would never get it again, but I said it was good. I'm glad I tried it. I'm like, no.
You're not glad you tried it.
No. This
You're having some sort of
What is it?
adverse.
this
effect.
is actually
Falling
this kind of I used to make homebrew using Cooper's beer kits, which which if you don't add anything to it, if you just use the beer kit itself, turns out some pretty crappy beer. And the beer that I made with my Cooper's beer kit was better than this.
Wow!
This had
Did this beer insult you partway through
What
this beer really had no body to it.
So I don't want to stop you while you're ahead. Keep going.
Okay. It had no body.
No body.
There was no. It was flat. No head.
No head. Flat, but no body.
No body. Flat. It did taste smoked and honey. But it's supposedly 7.9%. I don't feel a thing. I don't know what this is. This is like smoky water.
Alan, I want you to remember just for a moment.
Yeah.
That we started the discussion of this beer with Julian making a comment that it reminded him of an ex-girlfriend. Yeah. Now, all I can tell you is if you just told an ex-girlfriend that having previously decided that you were glad you tried her, now, what was I thinking? Flat, no head, no body. Like, dear Lord, like if this woman ever recovers, she's going to be in therapy for the rest of her life.
Yeah. I don't want this to be a knock on Steel and Oak. I've had some of their products before, and I really like them. But this one's a miss in every way, shape, and form. Stay away from the Beechwood Smoked Honey Doppelbock. Stay away. Run far away. See it? Ah! I think we broke Shane. Shane's broken. We're gonna have to make a warranty call on Shane.
On that note,
what a weird show.
We didn't have Dave around.
We didn't have Dave. You know what? And I was
silently just sit there silently, either Buddha or some sort of like enforcer going.
And I was so messed up because my cable on my regular microphone wasn't working, and I had to go find another microphone with a different cable, and so I don't have my cell phone. I don't have the studio audience.
Oh my God.
I'm all messed up.
On that note, boys and girls, I think we'll grind this one to a halt. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, of course, to Julian, who keeps our chat alive. And we'll see you all next week, if not before. It is Halloween this weekend. We might try and get a stream in once or so. I
think we should do one. I think we need to redeem ourselves for Sunday night.
How many separate streams we can initiate and then kill?
Exactly. We start one. It's like 5 seconds of somebody drinking a beer.
I tell you what. If we do one on Sunday night, I will wear a costume.
Oh well.
The way you said that, I thought you were going to say I will wear a condom, but
maybe that too. But you can't see that part.
Oh my God! And as always, Alan,
I'm not taking us out.
You're not taking us out. Oh jeez. All right, that's it. This show's over. Thank you for watching. Good night, everybody.